Mau. Orang.
Hello. Can you hear me? Good morning, Darlene.
Yes.
It's quite echo sound. Okay.
Prof Suganya?
Yes.
Did you hear me well? Because the sound is with the it's okay?
Wait a minute, Acha.
Yeah.
The sound is not stable.
Cek satu. Cek satu.
Tes. Udah enggak dengarin? Tes 1 2 3. Tes. Tes. Ada suaranya. Biar kecil. Tes 1. Satunya. Tes 1 2 3. Tes.
Pak Widi, bisa dengar suara kami, Pak Widi? Halo, Pak Widi?
Cek.
Siap Mas, siap. Cuma kok feedback ya?
Anu ya, mantul suaranya ya.
Iya, karena suara acan cukanya juga mantul tadi.
Tes.
Coba Pak Widi, suaranya gimana sekarang?
Suara Master tuh bagus. Nah,
Jelas kalau dari sini
apa
ya.
Suara saya itu lambat gitu.
Oh,
Balik lagi ke saya gitu. Kenapa ya?
oke, tunggu sebentar coba. Coba Bu Sarofah, Bu Sarofah, Bu Sarofah, bisa dengar suara kami Bu Sarofah? Suara kami jelas nggak di sana?
Izin Pak.
Jelas ya?
Cukup jelas Pak.
Coba lagi Bu Sarofah, jelas nggak suaranya Bu Sarofah? Pak Widi, coba cek sekali lagi Pak Widi, suaranya Pak Widi. Coba cek.
Siap Master. Bagus ini sudah.
Bagus ya?
Cuma berulang itu tetap mantul.
Tes.
Oke, kita mulai Pak Widi nggih.
Tes 1, 2, 3. Tes.
Siap.
Tes. 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 Bila agak kecil. Enggak. Bisa nanti agak dinaikin sedikit suaranya. Karena kayaknya kalau semisal dikecilin naruh di mic-nya juga kayaknya Pak. Iya. Ayo, kasih. Ladies and gentlemen, as we are about to begin the event, we will request each one of you to kindly switch your mobile phones and other gadgets to silent mode. Please turn off your microphone on your device and turn on your webcam during the webinar. Also, if you have questions, please ask your question in the chat box and ask in the question and answer session. Thank you very much for your cooperation and attention. Hadirin sekalian, saat ini kita akan memulai acara. Kami harapkan bagi seluruh peserta webinar untuk mengalihkan ponsel dan gadget Anda ke dalam mode senyap. Harap matikan mikrofon di perangkat Anda dan menyalakan kamera Anda selama webinar berlangsung. Dan juga, jika audiens sekalian memiliki pertanyaan, silakan untuk seluruh peserta webinar dapat mengajukan pertanyaan di kolom chat Zoom dan bisa juga mengajukan pertanyaan secara langsung dengan menggunakan fitur raise hand. Terima kasih banyak atas kerjasama dan perhatiannya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the International Webinar 2021 with the theme Local Government Development. It is our pleasure to be the master of ceremony for today's webinar.
Selamat pagi dan selamat datang di webinar internasional 2021 dengan tema Pembangunan Pemerintah Lokal, dan merupakan suatu kehormatan bagi kami berdua untuk menjadi pembawa acara webinar internasional pada pagi hari ini.
On behalf of the organizing committee, we would like to extend a very warm welcome to the Honorable Head of International Office and Excellent Program, Mula Warman University, Indonesia, Mr. Widi Sunario, SP, MSI, PhD.
Atas nama panitia penyelenggara, kami ingin menyampaikan sambutan yang sangat hangat kepada yang terhormat Kepala UPT Layanan Internasional dan Program Unggulan Universitas Mula Warman, Bapak Widi Sunario, SP, MSI, PhD.
The Honorable Dean of Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Mula Warman University, Dr. Haji Muhammad Nur, MSI.
Yang terhormat Dekan Fakultas Ilmu Sosial dan Ilmu Politik Universitas Mula Warman, Dr. Haji Muhammad Nur, MSI.
The Honorable Study Program Coordinator of Public Administration, Mula Warman University, Dr. Fajar Apriani, SOS, MSI.
Yang terhormat Koordinator Program Studi Administrasi Publik Universitas Mula Warman, Dr. Fajar Apriani, SOS, MSI.
The Honorable, the invited speaker from Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, Khon Kaen University, Thailand, Associate Professor Sukanya Aimintam, PhD.
Yang terhormat pembicara dari Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, Khon Kaen University, Thailand, Associate Prof. Sukanya Amintam, PhD.
The Honorable, the invited speaker from Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Mula Warman University, Indonesia, Mrs. Dini Zulfiani, MSc.
Yang terhormat pembicara dari Fakultas Ilmu Sosial dan Ilmu Politik Universitas Mula Warman, Indonesia, Ibu Dini Zulfiani, MSI.
The Honorable, the invited moderator from Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Mula Warman University, Mrs. Talita Rifda Khairani, MSc.
Yang terhormat moderator dari Fakultas Ilmu Sosial dan Ilmu Politik Universitas Mula Warman, Ibu Talita Rifda Khairani, MSI.
The Honorable, all of the guests, college, and participants of the International Webinar 2021 who are joining us in Mercure Ballroom, Zoom, and YouTube live streaming platforms.
Yang terhormat semua tamu, kolega, dan peserta webinar internasional 2021 yang bergabung dengan kami di Hotel Mercure, Zoom, dan platform streaming YouTube.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow us to first introduce you to our agenda. First is prayer. Second, singing national anthem. Third, welcome speech by the head of International Office and Excellent Program, Mula Warman University. Fourth, welcome speech by the Dean of Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Mula Warman University, Indonesia. Fourth, photo session. Fifth, lecturing session 1. Sixth, lecturing session 2. And the last is closing.
Hadirin sekalian, izinkan kami untuk terlebih dahulu memperkenalkan agenda pada webinar kali ini. Yang pertama, pembacaan doa. Yang kedua, menyanyikan lagu kebangsaan Indonesia Raya. Ketiga, sambutan dari Kepala UPT Layanan Internasional dan Program Unggulan Universitas Mula Warman. Keempat, sambutan dari Dekan Fakultas Ilmu Sosial dan Ilmu Politik Universitas Mula Warman. Keempat, sesi foto. Kelima, pemaparan materi sesi pertama. Keenam, pemaparan materi sesi kedua. Dan terakhir, penutup.
Ladies and gentlemen, to start off this morning event, we invite upon Mr. Daryono, MSI, PhD, to lead us into prayer.
Hadirin sekalian, untuk mengawali acara pagi hari ini, kami mengundang Bapak Daryono MSc PhD untuk menuntun kita dalam sesi doa. Kepada Bapak Daryono, disilahkan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, Dr. Phil Iketut Gunawan, MA, as a Vice Dean in Academic Affairs, and also Prof. Sukanya as speaker, Dr. Ridu Sunario as a Head of International Office, and also Dr. Fajar Apiani as a Head of Public Administration Department in Bachelor Degree, and lecturer from Lawaraman University who are being here or by online, and also all of participants. Thank you very much for this opportunity to lead a prayer reading in attractive event international webinar with Professor Sukanya from Konkan University. For those who are Muslim, please pray with me. While for the beyond of Muslim, I respect you and please pray according to your religion. We start by saying Bismillah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. All praises belong to Allah. All praises turn back to Allah, and all praises due to Allah. We acknowledge that Allah, the Almighty, is the owner of everything. Ya Rabb, our gratitude and thanks we convey to Allah for your blessing, your love and attention, protection, and also your guidance. We realize, acknowledge, and recognize that you are the owner of everything. Everything is created by you, Ya Rabb. There is no power that we have got from you. There is no knowledge that we have expected. You have bestowed upon us. We try to always be your servant who is always grateful for all your blessing. Ya Rabb, please give us the strength to get through the obstacle and barrier today and forward. Through your will that we can pass all these struggling days. We realize that through your will and permission, we got strength today, everything because of you. Ya Rabb, today we are here to attend an international webinar program as international program from Public Administration Department, Mulawaraman University. Ya Rabb, we want to strengthen the networking with among universities around the world, including with Konkan University. We would like to learn and pick up knowledge from everywhere. We want to develop the institution that we provide us to live there by encourage and support all of their program, primarily international program. Ya Rabb, we ask your help and also your guidance for the successful our program today, and we hope can run optimally through a smoothly process. Give a lot of insight and knowledge from this activity. Also give reward to all of team who have worked hard in making these activities a success. Amin ya rabbal alamin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Daryono MSc PhD. Terima kasih banyak kepada Bapak Daryono MSc PhD. Now, we will sing National Anthem Indonesia Raya. The distinguished guests are kindly requested to sit up straight. Kini, kita akan menyanyikan lagu kebangsaan Indonesia Raya. Para tamu terhormat dipersilakan mengambil posisi duduk tegak. Selanjutnya, dengan hormat kami mengundang Kepala UPT Layanan Internasional dan Program Unggulan Universitas Mula Warman, Bapak Widi Sunario, SP, MSc, PhD. Kepada Bapak Widi Sunario, disilahkan.
Baik, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Our respective Dean of Faculty of Social and Political Science. In this occasion, we are represented by Dr. Ketut Gunawan, our honorable guest, Achan Subyagya. I'm from Faculty of Humanities and Social Science from Konkan University. And also we have Dr. Triani as head of study program of Public Administration. Welcome and it is a good pleasure for us today that we have a distinguished guest, Achan, in this program, in the title of local permanent development. I think this is a good chance for us as implementation of our collaboration. The collaboration between Mula Warman University is very active and productive, and we have many programs in this year and also last year when the memorandum of understanding is signed. As information that beside this international webinar, we have also program credit transfer between study program of business administration of Mula Warman University and also Konkan University. We send around 20 students to Konkan University to attend some credits in business administration also in Konkan University. I think it is very good opportunity for us and also for Konkan University. This program, international webinar, is very important for us. First is to strengthen our collaboration, and the second is to broaden, to deepen the knowledge and of course also skill of our students, especially in the field of local government development. We do hope that this program will be successful until finished today. Thank you very much. On behalf of Mula Warman University, we do hope that our conversation will be continued with other activities, other fruitful program. Thank you very much also for Faculty of Social and Political Science, especially for study program of Public Administration, and also for Faculty of Humanities and Social Science from Konkan University. We do hope that we can meet and join in other program that will give benefit for both of us. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Selanjutnya, sambutan oleh Dekan Fakultas Ilmu Sosial dan Ilmu Politik Universitas Mula Warman Indonesia yang diwakili oleh Wakil Dekan Bidang Akademik Dr. Pil Iketut Gunawan MA. Kepada Bapak Iketut Gunawan MA, dipersilakan.
Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished resource person, lecturer, student, and guests. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya. It is my great pleasure to welcome you in this webinar entitled Local Government Department, organized by the Department of Public Administration, Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, Mula Warman University. I wish to extend my deep appreciation to the Department of Public Administration, which support the role of local government in the development. I wish to thank to the head of the Department of Public Administration, Dr. Fajar Apriani, for arranging this academic arrangement. On behalf of my faculty, Faculty of Social Political Sciences, I wish to thank you for the resource person, Dr. Associate Professor Sukanya Aimintam, PhD, for her intention to share knowledge, experience, and also information regarding the Thailand. I also would like to thank you to our second resource person, Dr. Dini Zulbaini, who is expert in the development issues from Department of Public Administration. Thank must go to also to Dr. Talita, who will become the moderator, and also Pak Daryono, lecturer of from the Department of Political Science, particularly Department of Public Administration. We know that this webinar will discuss about the local government development. This is a critical issue facing by developing countries, and as we know that development generally known or defined as an effort to transform certain condition into a better one to achieve certain goal. And with this definition, we will see that many countries or developing countries particularly facing or conducting a development program. But this is not only the issue from the developing countries. And as we also know that this is not a monopoly of the issue from developing countries, but also by the developed countries. Australia, Europe, Europe, and USA, for example, continue to carry out development effort in many sectors like in education, in politics, transportation, and many issues. Indonesia has a long journey to conduct or carrying out a development program, and fortunately now Indonesia has become a middle income country in the world. And I think Thailand also have the same performance in this case, and maybe with different path. Thailand, I know that one of the most democratic country in Indonesia, according to survey from freedomhouse.org, and Indonesia also advanced, try to get the same status, and fortunately, recently Indonesia is one of the most democratic countries in the world. I mean, in Southeast Asian country. And in this issue, we will face that the development is important role, particularly in managing the country. Indonesia and Thailand has good cooperation in this case, and for that we will have a good chance to continue the cooperation, and also in managing academic affairs. Indonesia and Thailand, as we know that, have some effort in conducting development in local level. But for Indonesian, we have little knowledge about Thailand. So I think this conference will be meaningful and also beneficial for us because the resource person will discuss about the issue on the development in the local level. In comparison with Indonesia, will be delivered by our lecturer, Mrs. Dini, and we hope that this will be important issue that will be discussed. Between the faculty and University of Phnom Penh, we have several collaboration in the past, in the seminar, in research, and also in exchange program, and I think this is very positive for us, and also, we hope that this will be continued in the future, and we will extend or can be improved in the future, particularly in the exchange program, in research, and in international academic affairs. To conclude my remarks, I will encourage the audience and the participant with an increasing number to discuss in the session and also in the discussion. I wish that all of us will be fruitful webinar. Thank you.
Terima kasih banyak kepada Bapak Dr. Fisip yang telah membuka webinar pada pagi hari ini secara resmi. Now, before we go on, we would like to invite all of these guests, participants, and the organizing committee to turn on your camera to take pictures together. Sebelum mengikuti acara yang berikutnya, kami persilakan kepada tamu yang terhormat, peserta webinar terhormat, dan panitia untuk menyalakan kamera dalam sesi foto bersama.
Sorry, because I cannot hear the MC very well. It's very low voice. Please help. In case of my not here. Darling, you know, can you leave?
Yes, Tata. We have a technical problem here, so wait a minute.
It's really echo.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes. Around 5 minutes. Yeah, I can do. Yeah. This problem. Okay. Wait.
Cik, cik, on, cik. Cik, cik.
Tes. Tes kepada para peserta webinar yang sedang bergabung di dalam room Zoom Cloud Meeting, ingin mengonfirmasi apakah suara kami di sini terdengar dengan jelas?
Prof Sukanya, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Is it clear?
It's clear. My voice, I'm not sure about my voice.
Oh.
It's okay with you. How about you here? Because I heard the voice is very happy.
Okay,
Very happy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And that is but from my room.
Alright. We are very sorry for our technical problems. Thank you very much for waiting. The next is first lecturing session from Associate Professor Sukanya Aimimtam PhD from Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, Khon Kaen University, Thailand. That will be led by the moderator, Mrs. Talita Rifda Khairani, MSI.
Selanjutnya adalah penyampaian materi sesi pertama dari Associate Profesor Sukanya Amintan PhD dari Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, Konken University, Thailand, yang akan dipandu oleh moderator Ibu Talita Rifda Khairani, MSI. Kepadanya dipersilahkan.
I hope you can hear my voice well. Okay. Thank you for arrangement for this very fruitful webinar. Thanks to the dean, the coordinator, to the moderator, to Dr. Kunawan for his very informative speech. Mr. Dariano, the very good KKU alumni who keep contacting with me all the time, and let me have this opportunity to participate in your session. This really very interesting and really informative idea, to arrange this webinar conference in this topic, local administration development. I will talk in an overview, okay, and I will try to share my screen for some idea, okay. Let me go to my desktop, okay, file in the desktop, okay. Daniel, can you help me with the PPT that I sent to you yesterday? I tried to find mine, but I'm looking.
Yeah. The minute Achan, we can help you to share your PPT.
The same one to you yesterday. This is overview, information about local government development for global aspect. But I will give some example of Thailand in some part of this presentation. Okay. So Dalino, you'll be the operator for this. All right. As the alumni, I ordered you. Okay. Yeah. This is the idea I get from the Hague, the definition and Hague Institute of Local Government, which is really globally used and reference, So we will talk in case of, for the starting point, we might start with the definition of term, about the term we use in relevant to the local government. They have more than one term, so we have to realize that sometimes when we saw in some places, some occasion, you will see different terms, so bear in mind that this is related to local administration. Okay, and then we go to the next slide. Okay, this is I already show you, what I will put my speak on, definition, assignment, vertical, human resource issue, and capacity development. Okay, this is, as I tell you, that I make a reference to the Hague Academy of Local Governance, which is widely used and referred, to. So I apply this set of presentation from the Institute of Local Governance from the Hague, Netherlands. Okay, so I think I like this framework really much. It's about decentralization regarded as an open system. Okay. The open system is that, so the inside circle is about the idea of where the decentralization process developed. It come from political, administrative, and fiscal that we need to be concerned, need to focus on before you thinking about the decentralization. So let's see the first one, the first frame. Okay, for decentralization process, let's start with the democratization and wider governance reforms. This is the idea for, as Dr. Gunawan mentioned about developing country. We learned a lot from many of our history and from the history of the developed country as well. Particularly, we talk about democracy. So the decentralization is something related to democracy that we try to, and thank you for saying Thailand is good example of democracy. We try hard anyway. We've been in the trouble, in the big circle of what the wicked cycle, after many times of changing, of coup d'etat, many times of revolution. We try really hard to be back, to be like democratized nation, as you said. So the decentralization is based on the democracy for sure, and it usually it related to the reform of the government or the system of the government. Okay, or else we cannot reach the term that we want to go democracy. And then the next frame on my right hand is that national development strategies and processes that need to be concerned in related to decentralization. It's a big picture of decentralization that it should be related to the national level strategies. Better or not, it will be national plan, the national plan that I believe that every nation has that. So many times or all the time that we have to put the term of decentralization into the national plan or national development plan, or we can call strategy plan. Okay, and we put in the process how we can achieve the decentralization. And then the underneath frame is, then we go to the local development strategy and process. After we put in the national plan, national development strategies plan, we will go down, to the local government development process, and next frame up to the middle is about local democracy and governance, citizen participation. The term is really big. Citizen participation. Do we have that? We have that. That's the Thailand or our Asian neighboring country has that. So we have to keep in mind that the citizen participation is less, for this decentralization. Sorry for I'm not wearing a mask because I stay by myself in the private room, so I'm excuse you for that. Okay, and it's quite cool for this air condition in my room. It's small, tiny room, so sometimes I might stop for might have a problem with coughing. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. So go to the left, the most left framework is about concern about elected government, for sure. This is global. This is universal. The decentralization cannot be achieved without election or let the people choose their own fortune. The people should not have govern like in the old day, like a dictatorship or centralized station system. So it's gonna be really different from the meaning of decentralization if you do not let the people to elect, their own leaders, let them decide, make decision in their own fortune. That is the philosophy of decentralization. Okay, go up to the upper frame is overall process. We achieve the overall process of state modernization, including public sector reform. So everything is related to the decentralization in every forms, in every frame of this framework of this mapping. So I think that this is very good idea to conclude everything into one slide, for make a meaningful decentralization or make a real, decentralization, make it real, make it believable, not just on the book or in the text. This is should be practiced. Okay, and then I think this is open wide, for everybody. The Hague Academy of Local Governance, they don't have they let you know, and you can make reference to this framework at your own convenience. It's not confidential, so it's open for everybody. So you can make reference on this framework. I think it's very good explanation of the term decentralization as open system, open to all, open to everyone. Okay, so underneath, the underneath the one of the term that they said global and regional context. That means that under this decentralization open system, you have to concern about the global and regional context, the environment around you in the world and in the regional, for example, ASEAN country, in APEC, in EU, in case of, global, we have to concern about EU, we have to concern about United States, we concern about the China, and our ASEAN friend, as I said, this on the basis of the conditions that you cannot make the decentralization to run as good as you would like it to be without concerning about global and regional context, because it's surrounded, it surrounded us, surrounded our country, our nation, our local community, our people. We cannot live alone as today, we live in different places, but we can share everything, from each aspect, from Thailand, from Indonesia, and from Laos. I have some students from China attend this conference today, webinar to my student from Laos and from China, from Cambodia, so everybody involved in the decentralization of, even if it's your own nation, you have to concern about global and regional environment or context. Okay, next slide, please. Mr. Dali, Okay, so I don't want to repeat, but this is the I don't want to read around of the term centralization, decentralization. So you make your own reading. For example, it is the distribution of authority, responsibility, and finance, resource, even national resource into the lower level of government. If we say that, the local government is some kind of government is under the central government for sure. So it's lower level, many lower level too, but it's good, the lowest, when we talk about local government, we always think about the lower and the lowest to the grassroots, that is very important because it's a big community, reside in the local community, and the local government need to take care of them. Okay, so decentralization, this is the definition. Okay, next please. And then there's some the ingredient. This is also from the Hague Academy of Local Governance. I think it's really good and compact, my mapping or framework that include everything. When they talk about the transferring of decision making, authority, resources, all kind of resources, as I mentioned, money, people, national resource, everything, all kind of resources. They have some surrounding condition, like in the upper frame, the existence of lower levels of government agency and field office. This is a transferring. You have to concern about this. The problem that always happen, for example, in my society, in my country, is because of sometimes only in theoretical, idea of transferring, but sometimes we still have not accomplished the 100% transferring. For example, for the budget, we need to have 100% transferring, but in real situation, because of some condition, we cannot, or the central government cannot transfer the big budget as mentioned in the theory or in the regulation, because of many something happened, that is very different, different in different country too. Okay. And then the next frame underneath is that to ensure effective local intergovernment relationship. This is very good. You might heard about sometimes we protest, sometimes we need to have more money, sometimes we protest that they take our money from, for example, from Udon, from Khon Kaen, from Nakhon Ratchasima, the central government, many times they have conflict. So sometimes it's not so smooth. So we need the very smooth relationship between central government and the local government, local intergovernment relationship in the good condition. Building institution capacity at lower level. Okay, for sure. This is, of course, is true. You need to build the capacity as an institution for local government, or else it's gonna fail. The central government might be strong and have a lot of capacities, but particularly for the new established local government, it's really difficult. It's not it's not easy to have a quick, capability at their own level. So we need, I think it's a duty of the central government. I will talk about this in my new slide, about the supporting from the central government, and then we go around the clock, a frame as and the down, the underneath, the lowest one is that about the clarify accountability to the local and central government. So you need to make sure that the accountability is established. Responsibility, checking, assessment, everything is about the accountability, not only to the local, but also to the central government, and then go around the clock again to the next frame is that execution on behalf of central government. I don't know whether people agree or not, but I quite agree with that. It is on behalf of the central government, but they deal with the local people more than the central government. You're not independent state, you're not independent government. So you still working in the name of the central government, I mean local government, for the people at the grassroots, for the people and the local community. And then go to the top frame, is deliver public services and function at lower level. Okay, this is easy to understand. Of course you will have to, the local government will have to deliver a service, I mean, yeah, of course, public service and everything like functions, the duty at the their jurisprudence, their responsibility. So you need to transfer. I mean, the central government, I said you, it means the central government need to transfer public service and functions to local government. Easier word is a transfer everything to the lower level government. Okay, next slide, please. And then this is, I will not lead on this, but I just give you that the different word in related to our topic today, you know, is we have deconcentration, devolution, delegation in different level of different layer of administration. Deconcentration, I just read only one sentence, is the process by which the agent of central government control relocate and geographically disperse. Everybody knows deconcentrate, not concentrate, but it's deconcentrate to the local government. And then devolution is a transfer of governance responsibility for specified function to subordinate national level. Underneath, you know, either publicity or privacy owned, they are largely outside control of central government. So that means you give the governance responsibility from the central government. It's the same meaning as deconcentration. I just give you the example because you might see some other word other than deconcentration, but okay, it suddenly come to the word devolution or the word delegation. So just we consider that this is related meaning as deconcentration or decentralization. So the same meaning but related. Okay. Then the next slide gonna be the type of it, you know, specific guiding principles. Specific guiding principle. The first one is that take the decentralization and local governance context as a starting point. So that means if you want to transfer authority, money, people, you have to concern, you know, about the context of the local government or governance, you know, because different community, different context. So you need to be aware, okay, be aware of each. In Chiang Mai, in Khon Kaen, in Udon, in Yogyakarta and Jakarta, it's different, are different. They're all different. So the contexts are to be aware at the starting point, starting idea, the context of each local government. Okay, and then the specific guiding, the next specific guiding principle is that if you want to keep the local authority, we have to be able to understand the stage of maturity of the decentralization and local government in the specific country. That means if some country, they said it's different in different country, different context. So if you want to do like decentralization in socialism society, it might have some discussion for different way of practice. I don't mean that you cannot do that, you know, in that kind of regime like socialist or communist, you know. We went to PRC, you know, Public Peoples of China, many years ago. I saw a lot of decentralization and local government. They are quite strong. Like in Yunnan province, you know, there are many different contexts in different city. Yunnan and in the south, in the north, in the northeast, you know, in Guangzhou, they are so different, you know, because it's really big country. So that kind of regime, even we call socialist, we think about centralization, But in real situation, we experience that they give a lot of authority to local government. They give a lot of budget, enough budget, on behalf of the central government, on behalf of Beijing, and that's what we experience, in Guangxi, autonomous, they call autonomous because they can work, they can governance, govern by themselves, express their own idea, they can speak their language, they have some accent different from Beijing for sure. So they can dress, in their minority dress up, and they have been supported a lot by the central government. This is the example. So in specific country might have some specific conditions. So we have to think about the idea of their maturity of the decentralization, whether they understand or not, whether they can do it or not. Despite the big country, but China can do very well on that. I believe, because I went to have technical visit so many times over there, and I saw many things like, as I told you, that Guangxi autonomous, province is very different from what you see in Beijing. So they can express everything. So they have been decentralized quite good, quite well, quite high, in that case, so let's go to, because I think I have limit time, so I will go quite quick on this. Specific guiding principle you have to concern is to support the informed decision process, on the function to local government. There are no hard and fast rules about the which function to local government should be assigned to which level of government. At the same, this is the principle that you need to concern about the supporting. Okay, the supporting from central government is very important. The most important, I think, as I mentioned as I showed to you that the case of China is a big support from Beijing. That's why decentralization can be achieved. If they don't support, it cannot be possible. It's really difficult. If it's all centralized, the decentralization never happen in every nation. No way. Okay. So the next slide we'll go to. I will try to go very quick on that, fast to know. So it is very important to adopt and apply, to each national system, which has been very, very various, all over the world. Each country is characterized by its own mix of this kind of word, So deconcentrating in United States might be different. Deconcentrating from Thailand or from Indonesia. Delegation, okay, of course, you give, put the right man in the right job, and then you delegate the work to them. Okay, and then sector within the country have their own mix. Okay, as I told you that each country have their own characteristic, so you have to be aware of that. Have to be careful. Have to practice according to their condition, their different condition. So different regulation, different rules should be practiced in each nations. Okay, for decentralization, local government development. Okay, the next slide, please, Mr. Dali. I mentioned your name many times. Okay, the function is to provide a stable economic environment, to promote a more equitable distribution of income and resources. I mean, decentralization. Okay, to assure a more efficient allocation of resources. Okay, but of course, no one says that this can be done. The best practice, as the best practice, but only the central government, So we need to be assisted by allocating everything, that can be possible to the lower level government, or we said local government. We believe this kind of philosophy. We all believe that, but whether or not we can do the good thing, we cannot guarantee for each nation. It's different. So the central government roughly speaking, is that certain government cannot do everything as good as they can do, as good as people believe. The central government cannot do everything in their own hand. Even the small and the big country, we have to believe that we need to delegate authority, we need to decentralize, we need to devolution, devolution to lower level for sure. This is, I try to emphasize that the decentralization is really appropriate, work of administration system as a public administration program that I am the chair of the PhD program. I believe on decentralization. We will have, I give example, we will have the election for sub-district administrative organization next week, 28, after we have been freezing for 7 years from the coup, from the government, the new government. Okay, let's see. I don't want to talk about politics, but we have been freezing for 7 years. We just have the mayor election the beginning of this year, and then the provincial administrative administrator few months after that, and then finally the grassroots organization will be held. Election will be held on 28th of this month. So I feel really glad because I pro decentralization system or process. I believe this is the way it should be done in every country. Okay, so next slide please, Mr. Dali. Okay, this is for your reading. I don't want to read because this is just emphasize that the decentralization for local administration or its advance or its development is endorsed, is support, not only by the Hague Academy of Local Governance, but I just refer to the Hague Academy of Local Government because I believe if you decentralize, the nation will be developed. Okay. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, I let you read this. It's too many words, too many characters. Okay, this is just make a reference to European Charter on Local Self-Government, Article number 4. For example, the small one is that powers. The three sentence beneath is that powers given to local authority shall normally be full and exclusive. To local authority, this is the European Charter that mean they practice in Europe country, in at least EU. Okay, for local self-government or local government, it's a regulation, it's a law, it's a law and it's a practice too, and it should be implemented, by this subsidized principle. Okay, so make sure that the local authority have full authority, have full function. Okay, assigned by the central government. Okay, and put in the law, in the constitution. Our constitution, the latest one. When we talk about the constitution, I have to talk about the latest one. Okay, even the latest one. We mentioned about decentralization, local government. That's why they have to have election, mayor, provincial level, and then sub-district level soon. Because if you not arrange that, it will the constitution have to change, because we put into the article. I cannot remember what number, but the article that include in the Constitution, Thailand Institution, the latest one, about 4 years ago. Okay, 4 years ago, the new one, the newest one. We have many constitution, but we count the latest one, and we might make a reference to some other constitution that is the organizing idea of the decentralization. Quite clear, and I will talk it later. Okay, I will mention later. Okay, next slide, please. This is to be, actually specific goal of government, principle is not no more one single, as I said, no one best way, to be practiced. So you have to be in mind that functions of, typically decentralized to the local gov, should include what is that? Education, health, agriculture, extension, promoting of agriculture, water, local roads, infrastructure. That means if you transfer, you decentralize, you transfer this kind of thing, basic education, compulsory maybe 10 years, 12 years, 13 years, depends on each country. Okay, urban service, the sanitation, public utilities, all kind of thing, that you need to transfer to them, to the local government, and keep in mind that many of these functions are closely related to achieving the goal, of the decentralization goals. So sometimes it's quite challenging. This function that we talk, health, education, water, road, is big burden that is challenging to be transferred. So when you want to achieve it, you have to manage, and prepare, have a good preparation before you make sure that you can do it as good as possible, but not the best one that you cannot expect the best one. Sometimes you need to have an assistant from the central government as a supervisor, as a monitor, you're not just working, the local government cannot working alone without help, without assisting. Okay, next please. Multi-level governance is, I don't have to repeat, because this is the idea of multi-level for sure. Central government, regional, provincial, sub-district, this is multi-level or multi-layer government or governance, Okay, so repeat again, policy, regulation, finance, delivery, the service has to be practiced to the local government or local authority. But policy and regulation, for some policy, the central government need to be in charge, including the global finance, the country level financing policy. It needs to be allocated by the central government for sure, but allocate to the local authority or local government to have them work on behalf of the central government. Of course, the taxation, most of the taxation system or the tax collecting come from all over the country, and the central government collect that and provide into each institution, including the local government too. But once they are alive, the local authority or local government, the central government need to clear practice in terms of give them an authority to spend the money on the people, security, as I said, education, health, infrastructure, public utilities. Let them do that, let them do that. Do not take the authority to do by the central government everything, like the public health. I will mention about public health later. Okay, the case study. Okay, so we have so many layers government to understand, to have a common understand at this moment. Okay ค่ะ ไปเลยค่ะ speak in Thai with Daliano. He can speak some Thai, Daliano. Okay, let's go to the next, please. Of course,
Excuse me, Professor. You have time about 5 minutes.
is but the legislation, the constitution, the big one, the law, the regulation need to implement, need to enhance, make it possible under this kind of law, or different layer of law, starting from constitution. Okay, next slide, please. We will go quite quick. So we need to have a law, to support. Okay, we go that the law have to be implemented. Okay, for sure, have to be enforced by central government and by authority and by local government and by people too. Okay, let's go. I have about 30 slides and I don't have much time to read. Okay, so this is about the law. So the law related, practicing in terms of decentralization. Okay, let's go. Okay, including the law of decentralization. Okay, Thailand experienced very clear in 1997 constitution. That is not no more now. Okay, because now we have a new constitution. It's starting point of the widely used decentralization practices. So we have a lot of more than 7,000 sub-district administrative organization all across the country from the enforcement of the 1997 constitution. Okay, let's go. That is the first start. Okay, so I just don't want to repeat this. Okay, decentralization, just to explain clearer, and let's go to the next slide. Okay, make sure that the role of central government at this stage, provides sufficient autonomy to local administrations or authorities. Okay, everything, make sure sufficient enough. Okay, and stimulate the development and democratic mindset. Believe in democratic system to local government. Stimulate. Be the one who are the leader of the democratic leader mindset and development that mindset too. Overcome bureaucratic obstacle. Anything that is obstacle, the central government have to be sincere to be in charge of the winner, the leader who take care of the all kind of problems, who solve the problems for the local government, because you are the central government. And finally, to establish necessary structure or for intergovernmental relationship, as I said, that need to be very good relationship between central gov and the local gov. Okay, let's go. This is into action, call for action, or else it's gonna be possible. Okay, the challenge, the problem, the cheating roles, to the local gov might have some problem, like what. So you have to concern about vertical coordination, horizontal coordination, from top to down, and human resource issue. This is challenge for transferring on kind of authority to local gov. Not only in Thailand, I think in some, as Professor Gunawan said, it might be challenging more, in developing country. For United States, I'm not, worry about that. For Japan, they're really successful in local government. So for developing, like Thailand, like Myanmar, like Laos, we still have this challenging. Okay, let's go. So we need the coordination in vertical aspect, and then I let you leading on this. Number one, and the next slide is, next slide please, vertical coordination. Number two, you have to ensure everything to make the decentralization possible to the local gov. Okay, then go to the next slide please. This is more like leading work. Okay, horizontal coordination. What about this? Regional intermunicipal cooperation in territorial plan in order to realize joint investment, foster regional, manage natural resource, manage local services, and intersectoral coordination. In Thailand, how about that? In Thailand, of course, we share, the information, Sometimes, I give you the local government example, different side, different taxation, different problem. Okay, so if the bigger local government can share the resource like money, people, it will help. It will a very good horizontal coordination. These problems still exist, so it needs to be concern for both local government and central government. Okay, so to make a good horizontal coordination in addition to the vertical. Okay, let's go really quick on this. I give you a lot of reading. Okay, and this is big problem. It's a big problem too. It's a challenge to the human resource transferring. In 1997, according to that constitution, we have a very big chip of human resource and big problem to big challenge. But it finally settled down quite well at moment. We wait for the next election on 28. The human resource need to be concerned. You need to administer. You need to manage well about the human resource, because maybe they don't have enough people. For example, in Thailand, more than 7,000 local administrative at sub-district level exist in Thailand. So it's not possible to have enough people, have qualified people, have sufficient people. So we need to reshuffle, we need to hire, we need to employ. It's really quite big problem at that time in 1997, because of human resource reshuffle, not good enough or not in time. So we have struggled a lot in that moment of Thailand case. Okay, Panka, let's go to the next slide, please. I have 1 minute left, I think. Okay, so the human resource, as I told you, in 1997, it's a big shuffle, it's a big reshuffle, it's a big almost, people leave from university to work in sub-district. People leave from some ministry to work in sub-district because of the human resource administration or human resource management at that time. It's in function, it's in urgent need. It's a big problem. It's always a big problem about human resource, including at local administrative organization. Okay, let's go. Thailand also passed that struggle already. So the solution never end. I think the solution for India case, Ethiopia case, or Tanzania, or in Thailand, I think it never ended solution, but it might be better than back then in 1997 for Thailand case. I don't know about India, I don't know about Ethiopia, but you can study from their past, history, that they learned something about the human resource, in Thailand, and we've learned a lot. And then we have slowed down by the changing of government, and we have been freezing for 7 years. Before that, we step up, year by year, not 100% good, but we still have problem to solve. I think now at this moment, on 28th of election, I think we are ready for human resource development for local government, more than what we have been experienced, back in 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Okay, so Thailand, we've learned a lot of lessons. Okay, let's go. Capacity development. Okay, of course, you need to put capacity in every sector of local government. Okay, subnational level local government have to adapt to their new, in service delivery to people directly. Central level has to create conditions, set standard, and supervise them. Take care of them, assist them. Okay, and give the service to the people. Government has to let go. What does that mean? I think, you have to put the importance of the service delivery, of the assignments, responsibility, decentralized. Decentralized means you give everything, the authority, to people. You don't have to keep your own authority into one center government or one center or on one group of people. You have to delegate on kind of service, on kind of work, delegation, decentralization. So let it go, let go of the government. Okay, next slide, please. Half-minute left. Okay, so I don't know whether I have time for exchange idea, but this is what I can find is my picture on commencement ceremony last year, with my colleagues, Ajahn Suthaporn, Ajahn young people, and Ajahn and myself, in the commencement ceremony in the university gown, for that kind of situation. So you have any few questions to exchange with me? You can share in 1 or 2 minutes before we go through. Welcome all. Exchange idea. ขอบคุณนะคะ Okay, if it's because I recommend you to go back and make a readings on the PowerPoint, because it has so many words explaining. And if you have any idea to change with me, we can talk later, either after this or in the next occasion. I can give you my contact address. Okay, bye. Thank you very much for waiting, for my extending time, and excuse for that. Okay, ขอบคุณนะคะ Thank you.
That you have delivered to us. We want to say sorry about the technical problem, and maybe for
On the time, yeah.
and for some miscommunication. But ladies and gentlemen, before we go to the next speaker, allow me to introduce our first speaker, namely Mrs. Associate Professor Sukanya Amimtam, PhD. She is from Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, Konkan University, Thailand. I read here that now Mrs. Associate Professor Sukanya Amimtam, PhD, has a lot of work experience since 1979 until now. In 2014 till present, she has a position as head of Public Administration Division, and in 2012 till present, she also has a position as chair of PhD program in Public Administration, Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, Konkan University, Thailand. And she has completed her studies at Thammasat University in Political Sciences. Also, she has completed her studies at University of Central Missouri, USA, in Public Services Administration. And latest educational background. She got her PhD in Human Geography, Komazawa University, Tokyo, Japan. And Mrs. Associate Professor Sukanya Amimtam, PhD, has a lot of experience about her research and has a lot of publications. And the latest research talk about political careers progress of Thai women under the country's context today. And she also has research interests in the field of decentralization, organization development, international migration, human rights, elderly, and gender.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome, Professor. And ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce myself. My name is Talita Rifda Hairani. I'm from Public Administration Study Program, and on this occasion, I was given the mandate to be a moderator on this international webinar. And Mrs. Associate Professor Sukanya Amimtam has have delivered the topic about local government development. And in her presentation, we know that she talked about decentralization as open system. And then she also talked about the ingredients to transferring decision-making, authority, and resources. Also, she talked about specific guiding principles. There are SGP2, SGP4, and SGP5. And then she also gave us information about each country is characterized by its own mix of deconcentrating, delegation, devolution, and specific regulation depending on the type of public service provided. And she also gave us knowledge about civil service reform, where there are several roles of central government, also challenges that shifting roles and responsibilities cause numerous challenges for the implementation of administrative reform, such as vertical coordination between the different government levels, also horizontal coordination, and human resource issues and capacity development. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we go to the next speaker, I will inform you that if you have any questions or responses to this topic, you can leave your responses or the question into the chat room on Zoom feature. So, okay, and ladies and gentlemen, now we can go into the next speaker, and before the second speaker delivered her presentation, allow me to introduce our last speaker, namely Mrs. Dini Zulfiani, MSc, from Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, Mula Warman University, Indonesia, who will give us knowledge about capacity development of human resources in local government to improve public service quality. Okay, I read here that Mrs. Dini Zulfiani, MSc, was born in Samarinda, 19 October in 1978, and she is a lecturer at Social and Political Sciences at Social and Political Faculty, Mula Warman University, and she has completed her study of Diploma 1 in Waterfield High School in USA. And then she got her bachelor degree in Public Administration Study Program, Social and Political Sciences, Mula Warman University in 2002. And then she got her master degree in Public Administration Study Program, Social and Political Sciences, Mula Warman University in 2013. And then Mrs. Dini Zulfiani, MSc, is a member and returnee of AFS International Exchange Program or Bina Antara Budaya from 1996 until now. And she also a member of Indonesian Association of Public Administration. And she has a lot of working experience. She has a position as staff consultant for ADB Loan Education Project at Education and Cultural Department, Samarinda. She also has position as Logistician Assistant for PT Care International Indonesia, is Kalimantan, Samarinda in 2002. And in 2002 also she has worked at PT Assurance AIA Indonesia Samarinda as administration officer. She also has a position as administration officer or HRD section for PT Pacific Tel Indotama for Kaltim Primakul Sangatta from 2003 until 2005. And now, she is a lecturer in Mulawarman University, Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, is Kalimantan from 2006 till present. Dear Mrs. Dini Zulfiani, MSE, I will inform you that you also have about 35 minutes to deliver your presentation, and I will ask you if you want to operate your slide or PowerPoint by yourself, or maybe you need our help, Mrs. Dini. Okay, Mrs. Dini, maybe we can help you to operate the presentation. And Mrs. Dini Zulfiani, now we can start the presentation. So, Mrs. Dini Zulfiani, MSE, the time is yours.
Thank you very much, Bu Atta. Assalamualaikum. Let me open this mask first. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is already afternoon. First of all, I would like to say thank you to the representative of International Office and Excellent Program for facilitate us for the webinar. And to Honorable Vice Dean Academic Affair of Social and Political Faculty Mulawarman University, Dr. PLI Ketut Gunawan MA, and to Honorable Coordinator of Public Administration Studi Program, Dr. Pajar Apriani MSI. Also for our special speaker, to Honorable Professor Sukanya Aimitam, PhD. I'm really happy to see you again. We met the last time we met.
Yes.
Yeah, and to all beloved fellow lecturer and student and all other guests, thank you very much for your attendance today. Yeah. Yeah. The slide. Is there a slide? Okay. Yeah. If Professor Skanya already talked about human resources and capacity development in general, she mentioned about it in the last half of presentation. I would like to focus more on capacity development of human resources in local government to improve public service quality. Yeah. According to the title of my presentation, I believe that the capacity of the development in human resources relation to the government apparatus professionalism is important aspect to consider when it comes to human resources development apparatus, of course. Yeah. Next, please. Since we talk about local governance, I will mention the policy from Indonesia. Technical problem with that. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Next. Yeah. Next. Well. According to law number 23 years 2014, it is stated that regional autonomy is the right, authority, and obligation of autonomous region to regulate and manage its own governance affair and the interest of local community in system and unitary state of the Republic Indonesia. The article implies that the government need to have adequate capacity to establish a good public service. Therefore, local government need to be supported by qualified government apparatus. Excuse me. And for that reason, capacity development of the government apparatus has become the top priority for local government to achieve an excellent and optimal public service. So in order to improve their worker capacity, local government are required to take concrete movement. Capacity development, maybe next please, is an approach which today is widely used in community development. Not only is that capacity related to individual skill and capability, but also it links to the ability of organization to effectively reach its goal and survive in long period of time. So you can see over there is the UNDP define the capacity is the ability to solve a problem posed by individual, organization, institution, and society to individually or collectively carry out their function, solve problem, set and achieve the objective. And also, according to Morgan in Milan, capacity is ability, skill, understanding, attitude, value, connection, behavior, motivation, resource, and many other conditions that enable every individual, organization, network, or sector, and a larger system to perform their function and reach the development goal, which have been periodically determined. Furthermore, capacity development as a special task is tightly related to specific factor in specific system or organization within a specific time. So based on the definition, society developments mean a process that takes place inside the society itself, or it's called by indigenous process. Therefore, capacity can be simply regarded as the process in which people, organization, and society all together publish, strengthen, create, adapt, and cultivate their ability over time. So in public organization, the increase in the capacity development of human resources is crucial because it plays the role as the basic requirement and to build an organization. Besides, the government apparatus capacity development is closely connected to the public service process. So the higher the government apparatus capacity is, the better the public service will be. On the other hand, the lower government apparatus capacity is, the worse public service is going to be. As for the government which act as an agent, to provide public service, the challenge lies in the demand that workers need to be competent in what they do and prioritize the customer satisfaction. One method that has been implemented by government is bureaucracy reform. The objective of this reform is the establishment of excellent public service, which is fast, precise, low cost, transparent, and accountable, and also the improvement of bureaucracy performance. However, the development of the state apparatus, which is carried out through this kind of bureaucracy reform program, is still partial and has not touched the core issue of the state apparatus capacity development. So the fact, next please. Okay. So the fact that bureaucracy reform has not operated the way it is expected by the society is the central problem in realizing good governance, and the improvement of the government performance. You may see on the screen some special cases can be example of the low quality service conducted by government. You can see is mainly caused by the first is bulky and efficient structure organization. As we know, in Indonesia, there are a lot of people working in some institution that not really needed. And then the second is an overlap among main duties, function, and authority of the local government. Number 3 is the poor working relation within the government, including implementation of the regional autonomy. Sorry about that. So it's a poor working relationship within the local government when it's implement the policy on the regional autonomy. It's become a problem in Indonesian local governments. And number 4 is the disproportional organization of local government working unit which does not reflect the region characteristic and cannot answer the actual need. Yeah, and then we have like 11 problem over there, including overlapping regulation that make it difficult to implement by the bureaucracy itself. Indonesia have a problem with the overlapping regulation that makes one institution to another institution have overlapping work. And the next is the low level discipline and working ethics. It's become a problem in Indonesia for so long about discipline and working ethic that needs to be to be improved. Number 7, a non-objective career system which is not entirely based on working achievement. Sometimes it's based on seniority. Number 8 is the ineffective remuneration system. We have remuneration system in Indonesia which cannot yet help the staff to live a decent life. In some institution field, the remuneration is not really make people live in a decent life. And number 9 is the obligation to attend education and training for bureaucracy apparatus is based more on requirement to advance a certain level position rather than developing knowledge and skill for the apparatus itself. Number 10 is the low quality of government apparatus in general. Number 11, the ineffective education and training that have not been favorable to government performance and many other things. Extra. We have some problem that that I cannot write in here. So facing the above problem, capacity development, which include system, employee as individual, and organization as entity, needs to be implemented to accelerate the bureaucracy reform. Capacity development refers to the process where individual group, organization, institution, and society develop their skill, either individually or collectively, to conduct their function, solve problem, and achieve their own goals. Next, please. Well, we talk about local government in Indonesia. The existence of local government is important in order to realize a government which is democratic and capable of fulfilling needs of its citizens who reside far from the center of power. It is mentioned in the law number 23 years 2014, article one paragraph 2 over there, that the regional government is the administration of government aware by regional government and regional people representative council according to principle autonomy and assistance, tasked with the principle of autonomy as wide as possible within the system and principle of the unitary state of Republic of Indonesia as referred to the Republic Indonesian Constitution of 1945. So the formation of autonomy region through decentralization basically create efficient and innovation within the government, meaning that decentralization can ensure the unity of nation. The autonomy region as a form of decentralization is essentially applied to comply the need of the whole nation. It is an effort to realize the objective of the establishment of government, which is to create a better and prosperous society by delegating tasks to the head of region. In line with decentralization, region must be given the right to organize and manage its own household. For that, it is necessary for local government to build their human resources through capacity development, as I mentioned above before. Next, please. Yeah. Okay. The capacity itself is the ability of individual, organization, or system to run its function efficiently, effectively, and continuously. It's the meaning of the capacity, the definition of capacity. However, in this matter, the capacity must be closely connected to the mandates and function which already set by the organization or system. Moreover, capacity development is ongoing improvement process of an individual, organization, or institution that take place more than once. So the capacity development is also a way to set condition or quality, whether it's individual or institution, to meet the requirement. It's also defined as a broad concept concerning the improvement of human resources and in many other management issues and tendencies, such as strategy management, knowledge management, and information management. Therefore, capacity building become mean to improve one performance and develop the expertise and skill needed by the government, society, and individual to increase the performance, efficiency, effectively, and responsiveness. Capacity development here can be done through education and training, regulation, and institutional reform, financial, also technology, and scientific assistance. Capacity development as an attempt to improve working performance is highly needed by the government, agent, and administrator, both personally and collectively. Because the capacity development is ongoing process that must be conducted more than one. It must be perceived in correspondence to the actual need and demands. So there are dimension and focus of capacity building according to Grindel. Next, please. Okay, based on the table that you can see on the screen, on the presentation, there are 3 dimensions of capacity development, which is the first is human resources development, the second is organizational strengthen, and the third is institutional reform. after that. Okay, let me explain it one by one. The human resources development dimension focus on the supply of professional and technical personnel. Competent human resources can be achieved through education and training, setting decent amount of salary, proper working environment, and also good recruitment system. Next, related to organizational strengthening dimension, which is number 2, the core attention are the management system to improve performance or specific tasks and function, and the management of microstructure. These include activities such as arranging a good incentive system, employing the existing personnel, giving example through good leadership, building an effective communication, and improving managerial structure. The third dimension is institutional reform. Pays most of its attention pays more of its attention to the institution and system in general, and to the impacts of macro structure. In this context, there has to be a change in the rules of the game for economic and political regime, a change in policy and also legal rules, and reform on the institutional system that can push the development of market and civil society. Furthermore, capacity development is the attempt to construct some kind of strategies planned to increase the efficiency, effectiveness, and responsiveness to the form of government. Efficiency itself relates to the use of time and resources needed to obtain a specific outcome, while the effectiveness means the appropriate measure between the attempt and goal reach, and the responsiveness is a way to synchronize the needs and ability to get to the goal. Taking the explanation back to the context of capacity development in local government, we need to turn the central attention to the government apparatus, which is human resources. This is because human resources is important factor for running an organization. Human resources should not be defined based on what they do, but on what they produce. These statements support the idea that capacity building in local government apparatus is crucial, for it is the determinant factor in the success of public service. Okay, next please. Yeah, talking about government apparatus. Yeah, this is yeah, click. Yeah, okay. We can see here the on the screen. Okay, the low quality of public service is always been a spotlight actually, because it is the image of the government at large. The lower the quality and the bigger dissatisfaction shown by publics means the more negative the image of government is. So the essential the government apparatus is everything related to the position, tasks, right, authorities, and responsible of the government apparatus, as you may see on the screen. As both subject and object of the establishment of the government apparatus play the most important role in compared to other resources, which are based on the organization, dimension, and management. Policy on government apparatus management should also contain the overall effort to increase the efficiency, effectiveness, and professionalism of the establishment of the task, function, and also responsibility by the state apparatus. The policy should also cover planning step, quality development, procurement, placement, promotion, welfare, and also discharge. So the local government is a public service organization that depends on human resources to support its goal. Therefore, local government needs to think the way to bring out the true capacity, identity, and potential of its staff in order to form highly professional apparatus. So, in addition to this, requirement for apparatus with the adequate capacities must be made clear, because the government apparatus, in this case, civil servant, because civil servant is the agent of the public policy who bears the tasks and function to serve, protect, and empower the community. Gibson in Pasolong state that the one performance determined by his ability and motivation to do the job. While according to Suprapto, human resources development should focus on the skill and expertise, insight and knowledge, talent and potential, personality and working motivation, and also moral and working ethos. In the capacity building, the education level are highly considered, while the skill and knowledge be suited to the current requirement. Okay, next
Excuse
please.
me, Mrs. Dini Zulfiani, MSA, you still have 5 minutes to
Okay.
continue your presentation. Thank
Okay,
you.
so we only come to the state civil apparatus. Okay, this is the picture is mall pelayanan public, which is a service public service mall, what we call in Samarinda, and then it for public service. Yeah, in 1945 Constitution of Indonesia explicate that the state has the obligation to fulfill the citizen basic necessity and responsible for its people welfare. And also the state apparatus empowerment minister divine that the public service is all kind of service, material or immaterial, to fulfill the needs of the community. Next please. So this is when we talk about quality, there are some expert divine quality in short phrases. There are W.E. Deming, William Edward Deming, for instance, say that it is a continuous improvement, while Joseph M. Jurar divine it as fit for use, and Crosby express the term as complements to the requirement, and G.W. Cortado also claim it in short phrase, calling as the moment of truth. Yeah, so in some short press, some experts saying quality is not that long in sentences. So actually, service quality is one of the determinant factor that running both government and private organization. To sum up, the service quality is the community satisfaction about public service, which is resemble to the community expectation. Next, please. Yeah, this is what we call as CIRQUAL, service quality indicator, which is they have 5: reliability, is the ability and competency to provide a reliability service, and then assurance, number 2, the ability and cordiality of the apparatus in gaining customer trust, and then the third is tangibles, means the service quality on its physical form, such as office building, computerized, waiting room, information booth, and etc. So the fourth is empathy. This dimension refer to attention and priority the organization give to the needs and the requests of customer. And the last is responsive, which is competency to help and provide a service in quick and accurate manner and responsive to the customer need. Next, please. All right. In Indonesia, we know, click one more, please. Thank you. Yeah, in Indonesia, we have a principle of the service, public service regulated as the in state apparatus. In here, there are 10. The first is simple. The second, quality and certainty. The number 3 is certainty of time. And then the number 4 is accuracy. Number 5, security. Number 6, responsibility. Number 7, the availability of the facilities and infrastructure. And number 8 is accessibility. Number 9, discipline, courtesy, and cordiality. Number 10 is convenience. That's all the principle of public service that known in Indonesia, mentioned by the Environment Minister. Okay, next please. Okay. So the capacity development of government apparatus is aimed at increasing government performance in building highly professional and capable state apparatus who are dealing with the policy making and service area. Since capacity is an ability possessed by individual, an organization, or a system in carrying their function effectively and efficiently, it is very important in achieving the common purpose in a country development. Only then, a region will be able to serve its public well and raise its competing potential. Furthermore, the apparatus should develop their motivation and capacity to improve their quality of the public service. The activities for development of the government apparatus cover capacity, equity, environment, and sustainability. As I mentioned in here, government apparatus must focus on these 5, which is the skill and expertise, insight and knowledge, talent and potential, personality and job motivation, and the last is moral and working ethos. So the more qualified the government apparatus is, the better quality of the public service delivered to the stakeholder. For that reason, local government has to undergo systematical effort to increase the apparatus competence and knowledge. And this can be done through formal education or private training. human resources skill development must become the local government priority, since at the first rate, human resources will push performance of the organization to the maximum. And for this purpose, effective and concentrate step to improve the skill of the apparatus must be made, so that civil servant would no longer be regarded as unprofessional and work solely for serving the boss instead of the people. Okay, the last one, please. Yeah, this is the conclusion. The last is the conclusion. So you may see in over there, many local government have attempt actually in improving the skill of the staff by organizing technical and functional training, or simply by restructuring and posting the right man on the right place. But nevertheless, personal capacity, quality are not determined by knowledge and skill they use in completing their tasks. Some empirical evidence has shown that a personal success is determined by behavior and working ethic. So the higher capacity, once more, the higher capacity apparatus, the better quality is. On contrary, the lower capacity apparatus, the worse the service is going to be. Okay, that's all I think. Thank you very much, Bu Atta. Click the last one, please. Yeah, this is our team of administration public. Yeah, if Bu Sukanya said that she with the student or family, this is all with the our family of administration, public administration. That's all my presentation today. Thank you very much. Now we can back to our lovely moderator, Bu Talita. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Dini Zulfiani, MSE, for the very informative presentation you have delivered to us. And from her presentation, we get information that first, there are several ongoing problems in the bureaucracy affect the capacity of the bureaucracy as a whole. And she also talked about the dimensions and focus of capacity building initiative. There are HRD, organizational strengthening, and institutional reform, supply of professional and technical personnel. And she also talked about the quality of public service. And also she tell us about capacity development of the government apparatus that must focus on skills and expertise, insights and knowledge, talent and potential, personality and job motivation, and also moral and working ethos. And last, she also talked about the connection between apparatus capacity with the quality of public service resides in the capability of the government apparatus in establishing public service. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are now entering the discussion session. There are some questions that I read from the chat room. So I'd like to choose one by one. The first is a question from for Mrs. Associate Professor Sukanya Aimimtam. The first question is from Mrs. Tri Susilawati. She is civil servant from Balikpapan City, is Kalimantan, Prof. And she want to ask, discuss about human resources, emerge lack of staff skill at the local government become barrier to implementation autonomy values. What is your idea to counter these matters? Thank you. And I let you choose, Professor. You can answer the question one by one or many questions at once.
Mm,
Maybe one by one.
Okay, Professor.
yeah. Uh, could you read the final sentence again? The final words, the question, the final one. Yes. She wants to know what she wants to know about again. What? The question. Now I cannot hear you.
Human resources.
Yeah,
Human resources.
About
what?
again.
Once again, Professor.
Yeah.
And maybe you can read from the chat room on the Zoom feature. From Mrs. Tri Susilowati, I want to ask, discussing about human resources, emerged lack of staff skill at the local government become barrier to implementation autonomy values. What is your idea to counter these matters? Thank you, Professor.
Yeah, the difficulty or the obstacle we face at the local level or local administrative organization, what we can conquer, how we can conquer, right? I think that the problem of human resource for developing country, let's say developing country, I don't think they have the same obstacle in developed country. So what we face in the local gov in terms of human resource development is that not so qualified, is not so competent, as we expect to have, So I think to conquer, I believe in human resource development myself, training, give them knowledge, practicing. If they don't know, why don't you just put them into the course, effective course, good design, that they can learn and practice, and not only once a year, but you need to do that quite often for the new established local administration. I believe in the human resource this way, in training. No one knows anything from they were child, but they know by training. I think people have the very similar capability, competency, but their competency need to be cheer up, need to be shine up, by let them have a knowledge through or via the training program, all kind of training program. For example, we never know how to do e-signature unless we have a training, right? We never know about AUNQA unless we have a training program. Oh, I have just known that AUNQA is this, blah, 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 No one knows that, So the courses, the good design, the workshop, through the specific topic that you want to develop them, human resource, particularly I think about public sector people, personnel. I think it will work and it will help, good design courses, through the training program. That is I think it's good apparatus, good tools, to help to conquer the obstacle of human resource in local administrative organization. Yeah. I hope I answered the right,
Professor, thank you for your answer. And the second question is from Alia Rosalin. She is a student of public administration, Mula Warman University. I want to ask Prof, referring to the concept of decentralization, what is your view regarding the distribution of power between the central government and regional government? Thank you.
Yeah. My view of the decentralization, right? Is that right? My view on decentralization and how they deal with the central government, is that right? Yeah. Okay. Since it's the issue is still the issue. It has been the issue, and it is the issue, and it will be the issue on decentralization, particularly in developing country. So for I come from social science basic, right? I still believe in the attitude, the attitude for the people, for public sector, for the leader, for the elite, the elite. If you think decentralization will give opportunity to the local people to achieve the community need, rather than just centralization, I think if you change the attitude, I don't think about the law or something can help you, but attitude first, for the elite of some country that have problem, because the country that doesn't have problem, I don't think is a topic we talk today. It's only the obstacle or the malpractice. We cannot achieve the decentralization well according to our seminar today. So I think that if you can make the attitude change, give them the right thinking, the way of thinking mindset, of the elite of the developing country that facing problem of decentralization or not so well managed decentralization system, to make them think in a new way, new paradigm, that people is the one who authorize, the community, not the government, but the community, the people, by the people, to the people, of the people. I believe in that word, so they do not worry, that the local administrator will cheat or will abide, or not abide the law that the central government try to set up, to be sincere, to change the attitude, and to have the election, I mean the genuine election, elected by the people. People have a right to choose to elect their own leader. Let them do that by themselves. I think give the importance to the community or the people, the grassroots, all over the country. So this is not easy, to change the attitude is not easy, but it can be done, day by day, or try to help them to change their mindset. I think that will be good, because if we think many of times, they think that the community are the villager, are not so, they need help, they need assistance as in the old day. So they always wait for the help. Why don't we think that let them help themselves, help them to help themselves? I think this is a good way of thinking. So all kind of laws, all kind of machine, all kind of apparatus cannot help if the mindset is still the same of the elite, of the leader at the top level. So change that attitude, value, and culture, maybe going to culture of thinking, culture of believing, make a culture of believing in democracy. Democracy is the authority of the people, by the people, and for the people. If you don't think that way, 100 years ahead, it never happened. It will be the same, because they think that it should be top down, and then decentralization will be just only the beautiful word, only the proverbs, not really practice. Okay, I believe in that, the leader mindset. Okay, one of the topic. Okay, thank you. I hope I can.
For the very informative answer to us. And then the last ones for you, Professor. My name is Frankie Luder from Mulawarman University. I want to ask for Professor Sukanya. Decentralization is some perspective to delivery or transferring power from national government to local government. how to implementation decentralization approach primarily in ASEAN region as a development country. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you. Question from Mulawaman, where I visit last 2 years. Okay. It's a good question and difficult to find a good answer. Okay, how to make it implemented in particularly in ASEAN ASEAN countries. Well, I cannot say all ASEAN country because some ASEAN country. I want to give the example to you about Indonesia. According to my experience that I visit many times, and I have friends, I have students, I have colleagues, who are Indonesian. I think you are quite successful in transferring authority from central government. With such a big country like this, a lot of people, the biggest in the ASEAN, you come to this way, you come your way, into the more than middle way, more than halfway of decentralization. So I dare not to recommend, to the case that is quite successful, but I might talk about my country case, to achieve that, we of course we don't believe only in election. Election is the format, but elect without concerning the believing in giving the power to the people, giving to the authority to the people. I don't think this is the good way to think that decentralization is giving power to the local administrator organization alone, but to the people. The local administrator is only the one who play the role of coordinating, and providing, the thing people need. The people should be the good stakeholder, the most important stakeholder. So if go to the way that how can we achieve that decentralization? I think the power of population, the people, the community should be enhanced, should be more than this, should empower them. The community power should be enhanced, should be recognized, should be accepted. That all people have their own authority, not because they are poor, they low educated, they all the people. They are really important factor that we should be aware. And then if the people understand that and they come into power, and they can bargain, they can build up they can make the decentralization possible, into the real meaning of it. As they try to make our understand into the law or constitution, not only by in the dream or something, come into practice. I think empowerment of the people will make decentralization possible, not only in the law, and not only because central government have to do that. Since our nation global practice come into this way that you have to decentralize. No, not because of that. Because you believe in people in power and think that they own the authority. That is the authority, the power of the people, not the administrators. And then the decentralization will be in real. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Knowledge to us, and then we can go to the question for the next speaker, for Mrs. Dini Zulfiani, MSE. There are 3 questions I read here. First from Abiba Fiona Soraya. Good afternoon, my name is Abiba Fiona Soraya from the State Administration Study Program, Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, Mula Warman University. I want to ask our speakers today, especially for my lecturer, Mrs. Dini Zulfiani, MSE, about what is the difference between capacity building and development of your presentation. And in your opinion, what is the right step to increase the capacity of the state civil apparatus in the local government? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for the question. Okay. Let me read a little bit from the chat room. I already read the 3 questions that sent by the student to me. About the first is, I think the first and the second question is also the same, because the first is asking 2 questions.
Okay, maybe you can.
Yeah, I can answer both of them for the second question. So when we talk about the differences between the capacity building and the capacity development, right? Well, there are many terms that used in writing or in government's training and written also journal and extra about the capacity building and the capacity development. Actually, the capacity building is just building something new from the ground up, which is that it starts from the ground. There is no the program yet, but it's building. So the capacity building is just building something from the new, from the ground. According to pre-imposed design, capacity development is believed to be better expressed, an approach that builds existing skill and knowledge, driving a dynamic and flexible process of change born by local actor. In here, capacity development is understood as the process whereby people, organization, and society as a whole unless strengthen, create, adapt, and maintain capacity over time. So there is between the capacity building is a building from the very ground, while the capacity development is develop something that already exists. So it's only giving more push to be more developed and excellent. That's for the first question, the difference between capacity building and capacity development, I think. And the second question is almost the same. The low quality of government apparatus is one obstacle in, if I'm not wrong, in local government? Even to the biggest obstacle, how encourage them to reach professional apparatus. So as I mentioned about in my presentation, based on the experience, the human resources development is often detached from region strategic needs, always contribute a little to the local government. So we have to develop human resources by focus on building or develop skill and expertise, insight and knowledge, as I mentioned about before, talent and potential, personality and working motivation, and as mentioned by Prof. Skanya, have to have the moral and working ethos actually. Many local government attempt in providing the skill of the staff by organizing technical and functional training, or simply by restructuring and posting the right man on the right place. But the important thing is capacity and personnel are not only determined by the knowledge and skill, but some empirical evidence has shown that personal success is determined by behavior and working ethics that need to be maintained. That's for the first and the second question. And then the third question. Do I have the third question?
Just 2 questions, I think.
Okay.
The last from Gustinova.
Oh, the last from Gustinova? There is no...
I will check.
Okay. If it only 2,
Only two, Mrs. Dini Sofian,
Okay.
MSc.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, Professor, there are one more question for you. Maybe you can answer this question. The last question is from Mrs. Santi Rande, MSc. I am a lecturer at the Public Administration, Professor. I want to ask to Professor Sukanya. Thank you very much for the great presentation from you, Professor. And what do you think about the role of the regional government, especially in East Kalimantan province, in building cooperation with the central government regarding the relocation of the state capital?
Thank you
For your question. And I think this might be beyond my capability to answer. I have very few knowledge about the transferring or the management of the central government, you know, let's say Jakarta to Kalimantan or something like that, you know, but I've heard something about that, you know, that I want to talk in general, you know, transferring resources, including money. I think it should be equivalent, it should be sufficient, it should be matching, you know, it should be enough, you know, for the destination, I mean, for the community, either Kalimantan or not, you know, or Java or Jogja or something, you know. I think it should be suitable for the place that the local government that need the transferring any kind of resources, you know. So if they can assess, you know, the potential of each local government, I think the central government will do the right thing, appropriating, transferring appropriate resources, on kind of resources, you know. I'm not sure about the case of Kalimantan, but I think in general it should be the same, you know. And particularly your country is very big and very various, different culture, ethnic, you know, ethnic group. I think it should be suitable for the local, and any kind of project, that means project of the central government, do they have, it's better or it's the best way, you know, according to the philosophy, let's say theory, you know, need to have participation of local government, local people too, you know. That is what I can answer to you now. Okay, thank you for your question anyway.
Sir, and okay, ladies and gentlemen, we finally come to the end of the panel session. And dear participant, we apologize if there are some questions that cannot be answered from the speakers because the limited time of this discussion session. We are sorry for this. And ladies and gentlemen, before I close this panel, I would like to take the conclusion from what the speaker has presented. This is the very interesting topic that we can learn that capacity development in the government apparatus is very important to improve the performance of apparatus in carrying out their duties as civil servants, and also regulation and deregulation of government policy. And we know that from presentation from the two speakers that decentralization is a process of civil service reform with consequence not only for the local but also for central government. It has some challenges for the implementation of administration reform, such as vertical coordination between the different government levels, and then horizontal coordination and human resource issues and capacity development. And on capacity development, subnational levels have to adapt to their newly assigned responsibility in service delivery. And central level has to create conditions, set standards, and supervise. The development of the capacity development of human resource in local government can be measured through some capacity development indicators such as the apparatus knowledge, skills, behavior, and working ethics. Ladies and gentlemen, we finally come to the end of the presentation, and I would like to thank to the speakers for the informative and interesting presentation, and all of the participants for the very active participation. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And I will return the next session to the Master of Ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Body. Take care. Take care, everybody.
Thank you very much for the speakers and the moderator. The next session is handover their certificate from Study Program Coordinator of Public Administration, Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, Mulauman University, Indonesia, Dr. Fajar Apriani, SOS MSI, to the invited speaker from Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, Konken University, Thailand, Associate Professor Sukanya Aimimtam, PhD.
Sesi selanjutnya adalah penyerahan sertifikat dari Koordinator Program Studi Administrasi Publik Fakultas Ilmu Sosial dan Ilmu Politik Universitas Mulauman Indonesia, Ibu Dr. Fajar Apriani, SOS MSI, kepada pembicara pertama dari Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, Konken University, Thailand, Associate Professor Sukanya Aimimtam, PhD.
Good afternoon, Prof. Sukanya Aimimtam from Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, Konken University, Thailand. Thank you very much for making time in your business schedule to attend and sharing for your fabulous knowledge in this webinar. As the head of committees, here the certificate as the appreciation to attend and sharing your fabulous knowledge in this webinar. I'm very proud of our student and all enthusiastic participant of this webinar. I believe that all the knowledge that you share to us will be very useful for the participant. Thank you very much. ขอบคุณค่ะ
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next is hand over the certificate from Study Program Coordinator of Public Administration, Dr. Fajar Apriani, SOS MSI, to the second speaker from Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Mulauman University, Indonesia, Mrs. Dini Zulfiani, MSI.
Selanjutnya, penyerahan sertifikat dari Koordinator Program Studi Administrasi Publik, Dr. Fajar Apriani, SOS MSI, kepada pembicara kedua dari Fakultas Ilmu Sosial dan Ilmu Politik Universitas Mulauman Indonesia, Ibu Dini Zulfiani, MSI.
Thank you very much. Now it is hand over the certificate from Study Program Coordinator of Public Administration, Dr. Fajar Apriani, SOS MSI, to the invited moderator, Mrs. Talita Rifda Khairani, MSI.
Selanjutnya, penyerahan sertifikat dari Koordinator Program Studi Administrasi Publik, Ibu Dr. Fajar Apriani, SOS MSI, kepada moderator Ibu Talita Rifda Khairani, MSI.
Ladies and gentlemen, our lecturing session today hereby finished. We are about to close our agenda today. May the knowledge will be beneficial for all of us. On behalf of the committee of Mula Warman University, we would send my biggest gratitude to prominent speakers for sharing valuable presentation today. We would also thank all of you, guests, colleagues, and participants for making time to join today's webinar. Last but not least, we would like to apologize if we have done any mistakes throughout the event.
Hadirin sekalian, sesi pendiskusian dan webinar kita hari ini telah selesai. Kami akan menutup agenda pada hari ini dan semoga ilmu yang diberikan dapat bermanfaat bagi kita semua. Kami, atas nama Panitia Universitas Mula Warman, mengucapkan terima kasih yang sebesar-besarnya kepada para pembicara terkemuka yang telah berbagi ilmu yang sangat berharga pada hari ini. Kami juga berterima kasih kepada semua tamu, kolega, dan peserta webinar yang telah meluangkan waktu untuk mengikuti webinar hari ini. Dan juga kami selaku Master of Ceremony memohon maaf apabila dalam pelaksanaan webinar terdapat kesalahan dan kekurangan.
I'm Safira Auralia.
Saya Dilapsari Handi.
It's been our pleasure to be the Master of Ceremony for today's webinar. And see you in the upcoming event. Thank you very much.
Merupakan suatu kehormatan bagi kami untuk menjadi pembawa acara pada webinar hari ini. Kami, selaku Master of Ceremony, pamit undur diri. Sampai jumpa di acara mendatang. Terima kasih banyak. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Dini Sufiani, MSI.
Okay. As the head of committees of this international webinar, I thank all of our webinar participant and colleagues from Public Administration Bachelor and Magister Program Studi of Faculty of Social and Political Science, participant from Lembaga Administrasi Negara Kota Samarinda, Borneo University of Tarakan, Balikpapan City Government, Bunyu District of Bulungan Regency of North Kalimantan, some lecturer from Laos, Cambodia, and also from Thailand. There is a lecturer from Wulailat University, Mahejo University, and Konkan University, especially. Thank you for my great team too of this webinar committee. See you all in the another upcoming event. Greatest hope that all of us could be in healthy and happiness from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Goodbye all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof.
Yeah. Thank you, you too.
Thank